back again in another video, but this time I am ranking Supreme Duelist weapons from Neron's brother. But this is a disclaimer. This is based on my opinion, so please do not send me hate over this. You can disrespectfully disagree in the comments. So let's get it started. And then it's updated into the current date today. Maybe not. And let's start with the sword. So the sword has a special ability which rockets the player, like as a rocket ability, which pulls the player up, down, left, or right, whatever direction you're aiming at, and then it also deals good damage to enemies, and it's a good melee weapon, and good for clutches. So I'm giving the sword A tier. Okay, A tier is good. So hammer is kind of a good melee weapon. It's because it's long, can deflect, can block projectiles, and then there's a special ability called spin. So what the hammer does is it spins on 360, of course. It spins in a circle, and they will also hitting enemies on range. So I'm giving the hammer. Oh yes, and it also pushes or pulls you back, I think. So I'm giving it B tier. And the grappling hook, which is a not bad melee weapon, and is also a range weapon, and is also not that bad, which is highly recommended for clutches. But if you aim a little bit slow, then the grapple will deploy slow, and then it will eventually revert back. But if you aim it at a high speed, then the grapple will deploy at fast speed, even reaching a long distances. So yes, that's what the grapple does, and I'm giving it A tier. Don't send me hate over this, by the way. Oh wait, no, it's B tier. Not gonna lie. And then the gun, which is kind of overpowered, and usually it shoots projectiles as usual, and it overheats in a while. And the special ability which makes the projectile a little bit bigger, while three bullets shoot in a cone direction. And I'm giving the gun B tier. Also, there are some tips and tricks with the gun. So the gun, which if you get closer to the enemy, it deals big damage, and then yes, it is a low class melee weapon. Because what do you expect? It's a gun. It's a ranged weapon. So yes, I'm upgrading to A tier. Okay, the scepter has 3 different abilities, which is the green ability, which creates a barrier around you, which is also good for clutches, since you sometimes need the ground to jump, or maybe sometimes you can even jump in the air. So you can aim it down at your foot, and then you can now jump and get back onto the ground. And it can also block some projectiles like bomb or any throwing ability, as long as it doesn't pass through. I think it doesn't pass through in bow as well. And yes, the red ability, which summons a red projectile and then knocks back the enemy while also dealing damage to them, and the knockback is far. So I forgot the pink ability. So the pink ability deals mediocre damage while the enemies close to you, while they also deal huge amount of knockback, and you can teleport as well. So I'm giving the scepter B tier. It's not that bad. And then the flail is kind of a lame ability, but this is the first weapon that moves on its own. Like, I'm not even lying. It moves on its own. So the flail, when you activate it stops you in place, much more like a swing, while also dealing a small shockwave around you. well, a small shockwave around you, while of course deals damage to the enemy who touches it. And it's pretty useful in dodgeball mode, another game mode in Supreme Stickman, which which is the first weapon to move on its own. Like your character's not moving and your flail is swaying back and forth, and it can sometimes it can sometimes block projectiles on the way. Oh, I didn't realize my keyboard's there. And then so the flail gets absolutely C tier. It's kind of bad actually. And the bow which has I kind of forgot it. I kind of forgot its I kind of forgot its old ability. So I'm talking about the new one. So the bow which launches a barrage of arrows while also pushing the enemy whatever direction you're aiming at, but it's best when you're aiming it down because it pushes you up. So I'm giving the bow B tier. And the boomerang, which is the old ability, which is pretty lame, it can only pass through walls, has small range, and yes, it's absolutely a D tier in my opinion. And then it got reworked. The boomerang somehow got bigger when it's fully big. When you throw it, it now has a shockwave. It now has a shockwave which surprisingly deals damage to enemies who touches it as usual. So I'm giving the boomerang B tier. And as usual, it can pass through walls. And the boxing gloves. Wait, let me edit something. Okay, so now I edited some of the text and added an E tier, which is named absolutely trash. And then the boxing gloves. Added the boxing gloves, which launches like a missile when not aimed for too long. And then the first ability, which is like a flurry of punches, which is absolutely trash. So yes, I'm giving boxing gloves. I can't decide though, so I'm going super trash. Sorry guys, we're other boxing glove users over there, so I'm sorry. And then the ice cream, which has one singular ability, which summons up a mountain, which also pierces your enemy, also trapping them. Good for clutches and good damage, can block projectiles. So the ice cream is absolutely good. Okay, so sorry for the inconvenient pauses. Sorry for the inconvenience. So let's just keep going. So the boots. The boost is like doing like a drop kick, which also aims down whatever direction you're aiming at. With aims direction, whatever direction you're aiming at, which increases your speed boost, just like jumping around while making a goofy walk. And yes, I forgot to and onward the boots, which deals shockwave on impact while also dealing humongous amount of damage to the enemy. So I'm giving it good. It's kind of good. Okay, so onward the dagger is like a dashing. It's like has two different abilities, which is what was it again? Short dash, which is the light blue ability, and then the dark blue dash, which dashes you a bit more farther. And yes, it is absolutely recommended for clutches. So I'm giving. So the dagger goes to it's kind of trash. I mean, no, it's not bad. So, and then the guitar has three different abilities, which is the green ability, which glides you up, and then while the enemy deals damage, and then the enemy which deals damage when they're near you, and when you use the ability, and then the red ability, which is knockback and high damage as well. So it launches like red notes, and then while also dealing knockback to the enemy and damage as well. And the pink ability, its old ability is like slowing it down for a few seconds, and then the reworked ability, which throws your guitar while also slowing down. And I'm giving the guitar absolutely good. The katana, however, takes a twist. So the old katana only summons a controllable beast or whatever, and then and then it also hits the enemy while also dealing knockback damage. And then its new ability, which is the red ability, which like dashes in whatever direction you're aiming at. And yes, it's good, and it's good for clutches. And I'm giving the katana, and the katana is absolutely good. I'm not even lying, but the old katana is kind of trash. So now we have the bomb. So what the bomb does is like so so what the bomb does is like throw the usual bomb and then explodes on contact with the enemy, or sometimes explodes on its own. So and the other ability, which is like the glowing bomb, and then what it does is like create area damage. So when you throw it or activate it, it creates an area of damage. It creates an area when the enemy makes contact with the bomb and is super close. They get killed instantly, no offense, and you cannot block it with the shield. Like, it's absolutely overpowered because AI bots and Supreme Duelists are absolutely stupid. Like, Neron's brother needs to rework the bots or making a custom difficulty for them. And yes, it got reworked. And they actually got reworked, and now it is more difficult to evade. So the bomb's blowing ability, as usual, is now quite invisible. So now you don't know where the bomb explodes. And yes, it's still at the same size. So the bomb is the first one I will call to overpowered. I'm not gonna lie, it's actually overpowered when bots make a mistake, and especially its reworked form. And the portal gun, however, is kind of trash. The old portal gun, which doesn't have the pull and push ability, and while also dealing the same damage as before, and then also dealing zero damage when shot directly at the enemy. And when the enemy keeps teleporting at the portal, they deal significant damage. They deal continuous damage if they keep stepping on a portal every time. And then this reworked version, however, the range is still the same. Now has a push and pulling ability, which is kind of overpowered, and has a faster cooldown, which is kind of hard to evade, especially if you have double portal guns, which can be seen in some boss fights. In boss mode, it is literally just straight up annoying to evade. Like you keep shooting portals everywhere, while also making the enemy or you confused on where you are. And yes, the user or your teammate doesn't get damaged by the portal, but except for the enemy. So yes, I'm giving the portal gun good. It's kind of good, actually. How many minutes are we? 30 minutes. Okay, let me just keep this going. So the scythe, which had this old ability, which has limited range, and now sometimes can be launched 2 times. And its old ability, which shoots particles while coming back in a low range. But if you try to run away, then it will be gone, and then your ability is activated again if possible. And then the reworked version is now highly more efficient and sometimes annoying. And the scythe has now longer range, and now sometimes can be activated 2 times. So I'll give the scythe absolutely good. And onto the circular saw. So the circular saw has 2 abilities, which the first ability does absolutely nothing. It just glows. It just makes it glow. And then the second ability, which can be able to climb walls. So this circular saw is absolutely trash. Like, it doesn't even have a purpose. All it does is just climb walls. And then the axe, which is similar to the snowflake, which flies you and then smashes the axe down. And sometimes you can deactivate for a few seconds if you're high enough. So the ability is jump and smash. I call it that. And then when activated, the user jumps and then smashes down, also dealing a shockwave, dealing small damage to the enemy while also knocking them back. But when the when the axe hits the enemy head on, then it deals huge damage while also getting knocked back. So I'm giving the axe, it's kind of trash. And then the lance, which has a unique holding animation. When I think it's the first weapon to be held with two hands. And then the lance has two abilities, which the lance is which spins the lance while also summoning an electric ball while while dealing electric damage to enemies in the range. And then the second ability, which launches an electric ball, which electrocutes enemies in range, or if they are in contact with the enemy. So I'm giving the lance. It's not that bad. And then the sniper, which is the most annoying weapon, is because sometimes you can even do a singular trick shot into it. And the sniper just launches a highly powered bullet, which sometimes one shots the enemy when aimed at the head, and when aimed at the leg, usually these low damage depending on your damage multiplier. And after that it can also be done by trick shots. So yes, I'm giving the sniper not that bad, and it also has good range as well. And then the shield is kind of lame actually. So the shield has three different abilities. With the red ability, which deals like which like symbolizes a wave, and then damage the enemy while also dealing knockback damage. And then the green ability, which makes your shield a lot bigger than its normal size, which blocks incoming projectiles and cannot be controlled when activated. And the pink ability, which throws the shield and damages enemies when stepped on the shield, especially if they get knocked back while stepping on the shield. So I'm giving the shield. So the shield is super trash actually. And then the gauntlet, however, is like the same ability as the shield, but this time it's really cool. So it's old ability, which summons up a blue hole, I think, and which sucks enemies and dealing no damage. But in the rework version, the blue ability, which now damages enemies when getting sucked in that black hole. And then the the purple ability, which summons up a horde of meteors flowing down while also damaging the enemy on impact, while also crushing them sometimes, and can pass through walls, but can be countered by the energy shield. And then it's kind of good, not gonna lie, and it can fire out to like 10 meteor showers or something. And then the green ability, which slows the enemy down, giving you a time to escape. And then the red ability, which pushes the enemy away while also dealing damage, while the old version just pushes them away. And then I think that's all for the gauntlet, so I'm giving it good. So wait, I gotta be right back. I'm getting storage, so I'll make a part 2 later. So stay tuned for part 2 of the Supreme Duelist tier list. So bye.